Hey everyone, welcome to the Hit the Pass Film Room. I'm Bryan Wiedey, pastapadre, and with me is TJ Lauerman, ThatSportsGamer. In this episode, we'll be taking a look at drafting in the new Battle Royale mode in MLB The Show 16. There's no perfect way to draft, but there are definitely strategies that are emerging and preferences that individuals will be determining for themselves. So we're both going to run through one of our recent Battle Royale drafts and explain our decisions. So here we go. This is my draft, Pastapadre's draft. Welcome, TJ, into the Hit the Pass Film Room as we look at this. This is the first pick here. We've got four possible selections, four diamonds. And they're Josh Donaldson, Jose Altuve, Kenley Jansen, and Matt Harvey. And I think what you end up doing here with this first pick is you're kind of choosing a cornerstone for your team. How are you going to build your team? Who's going to lead your team?
Yeah, you can't go wrong with any of those four picks right there. Though you could kind of go wrong with picking a starting pitcher because you never know how lucky you're going to get getting them to come up in the random rotation pick.
Yeah, and that's a consideration I have, and probably why I wouldn't pick Harvey here, even though he's got great stats, because you don't know how many times you're going to get to use him. You may not get to use him at all if you go 2 and out.
Yep. I like getting solid relievers because you're going to use them pretty much every game.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really noticed much of anything with like is the recurring stamina in this stuff too, or
I don't think so.
Stamina played?
I don't think so. Everybody starts drained as far as pitchers go. They start drained, and a starting pitcher might be able to go 2 or 3 innings. A reliever might be able to go 1 inning, or you can stretch them if you don't throw many pitches. But yeah, you're going to be limited in how you use them. But then on the flip side, with batters, you may only get 1 or 2 at bats a game with them because these are 3-inning games again. So there's a lot of consideration there, and I went with Josh Donaldson. Just because I thought, okay, infielder, I'm going to get some power right there in the middle of my lineup or up front. In the case of these 3-inning games, I like to stick them up front in the first few at-bats and maybe get an extra one later on. So we move on to the second pick, which is, what is that, a bronze?
Yep.
So some of these bronze picks, it depends. I'm looking at filling out my bench. I'm going to try and get guys with high contact ratings. I'm going to try to get guys with speed. That's what I'm going for mostly.
Yeah, speed and contact is like the main thing I've seen, especially if they have good defensive ratings. Mm-hmm. Then you get the triple threat right there. I feel like in MLB, I always feel like the power rating is like a little overrated. Like if guys have good power, they're going to hit home runs. But if guys have great contact and you hit well, you have the opportunity to hit home runs.
So but
there's more guys that have lots of power and no contact than lots of power and no contact than lots of contact and no power.
Right. So here's where I do take a starter. When I'm building my team, I'm probably going to look to try and form 5 solid starters instead of a top of the rotation guy and then mediocre guys behind him. I want 5 probably decent ones because once again, you don't know who's going to take the hill in any given game.
Yeah, and if you can kind of burn the bronze and silver picks on your rotation, because, again, your starter might only pitch the first if you have a situation where you can get through your lineup in the second inning. Then you're probably going to want to pinch hit because you're not going to leave him out there to try to get to be an out.
So here in this is a, what is this, a silver? No, this is a gold. So you only get 2 golds, and so you definitely want to make the best of them. So here's another decision you have to make, and so you got Fred McGriff there, but I already have a power corner infielder. Brian McCann. Catchers are a rare breed. There's only a few of them that are really good. You got Craig Kimbrell, who's one of the best closers in the game, and Dallas Keuchel, who is one of the best starters in the game. So for me here, my decision was between taking the dominant closer and taking the great catcher, as opposed to the starting pitcher.
Yeah, those would be the 2 I would be looking at in this little group as well. Because like you said, there's not a ton of great catchers that you can get.
Yeah. So that's what I wanted to take advantage of here, and that's why I end up choosing Brian McCann.
Yeah, and I was actually kind of surprised that you went with Donaldson on the first round. Well, I mean, not surprised. Josh Donaldson's phenomenal in this game. But yeah, him and Altuve are both extremely good at their position, but I feel there's a little bit more depth at third base. There's only a couple second basemen that are really good, but you can't go wrong with either of those.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Again, you have to consider all those things, the positional availability and all of that in each one of those choices that you make. So McCann was my pick there, and we got another silver here. And I'll tell you what, here, this is a personal decision. I considered a few of three of these guys here. But Taijuan Walker, I'm a Mariners fan, so I end up going here with Taijuan Walker. I don't know what it is. I actually bought him in my Diamond Dynasty also. His throwing motion is so smooth. Like, I don't think there's another pitcher in the game that I'm able to time on the pitching meter perfectly as often as I am with him. So that was my choice there.
Yeah, that's actually something that I've noticed this year. I've made the switch back from pulse pitching to the meter, and I forgot how annoying it was having guys with really funky deliveries.
Yeah, it can really throw you off. So I have one more gold. So that's what we got here. We got a Jimmy Rollins, a young Jimmy Rollins. We got Willie Stargell, Jake McGee as a closer, and Louis Tiant, who is actually phenomenal as a pitcher in this game. His array of pitches are really good and tough for opponents to deal with. So I had a choice here. I think I was leaning towards Stargell and Tiant, and once again I chose against taking the big-time pitcher. And I chose Stargell, if I remember correctly here.
Yeah, I got Stargell in one of my drafts, and he was pretty dominating.
I mean, yeah, some great power numbers there, and plus, I believe he plays in the outfield, right? Take on right field.
He can play. He plays first, but he can also play left field.
That's what I ended up doing. I ended up moving him to right field.
Ooh, lucky again. Yeah, that Jimmy Rollins twice.
Yeah, and I pass on it twice.
Ooh,
I believe I pass on it, right? I don't know.
Oh, I've heard good things about Trevor Rosenthal, and also Joe Panik has really good contact. I assume you're going to go with Rosenthal. I hope.
I don't.
No.
Well, we're going to find out. We're going to find out. I went with the Rollins.
Oh, you did go with the Rollins. See, you told me.
Yeah. See, I'm remembering as I go. So
yeah, it's funny. I went through my video before, and I was like, oh, who would I draft if I was doing this again? And there was like 7 cards I would have got different.
Yeah. You're going to learn as you go, and you're going to find guys who just suit you better. So I'm looking here. I have no one in my bullpen yet. And so I think this is where I'm leaning right now. I considered probably Blackman there, but...
Yeah, and Blackman and LeMahieu both have really good contact numbers. So.
Yeah, and that's big. That's big, especially in these short games, if you can get guys on base. But I wanted to grab a closer right now.
And I wonder... Last year, Tanner Roark was really good because he was a relief pitcher with lots of stamina, which would come in handy here.
Yeah.
But here they just have him as a starting pitcher.
Yeah. Another silver here. So there's another starter, another closer I could consider. Solid guys. Yeah. Although I hate Papelbon, so I didn't want to take him regardless.
I feel like that's a very popular opinion.
Yes. Panik, I believe, is my choice here.
Yeah, Joe Panik's got a lot of contact, and especially a lot of contact versus lefties.
Yes.
Sometimes I feel like when drafting here, people are mainly going to go for contact versus righties because there's so many right-handed pitchers.
You're more likely to see a righty.
Yeah. So I do the counter thought that when I go in for starters, I want lefties, or relievers, I want lefties, so that I have something different.
Yeah, and you can turn someone's lineup over that way if they're going to start pinch hitting and pulling out their pitchers earlier than maybe they need to. It's one strategy to go after. I wanted to take Quackenbush just because I love the name, but I didn't choose Quackenbush here. Delino DeShields is one of those kind of combo guys who you're going to get speed out of and contact.
Yeah, and I also love that he can play a lot of positions.
Oh,
and has speed. So in case you get into that situation where you need to do a pinch runner, but like your bench doesn't really work with the position that you're pinch running for, that you have a guy that can come in and actually fill in one of those positions.
Have you been able to steal bases? I'm really struggling with that. And so I've had guys with high steal ratings, and it really just hasn't paid off for me.
I've gotten a couple, but I haven't really been trying too much.
When I try and when I take an extra lead, I just get picked off.
Yeah, I think it really just depends on who you're playing against.
Yeah.
How they are.
So, I'm not going to lie. You get into these later rounds, and not necessarily this pick here, but you get into the later rounds and you start coming across guys you're not real familiar with. And so that's when I start really looking at those specific attributes. Here, got a couple good options here in this round. Papelbon's still there. Burley, Minor. Don't know who to choose.
I mean, they're all equally.
Yeah.
They're all good picks.
Burley's got those 5 pitches there, 5 pitch types.
Yeah. But 3 of them are fastballs, which is the only thing I don't like sometimes.
Mm-hmm. So
I think I ended up drafting someone who had 4 pitches and 3 of them are fastballs. I was like, well, that doesn't really help me.
Got a young Andrew Miller there. That's the one that attracted me here, I believe. Only rated 69, but...
And here's the thing that screwed me up with this Andrew Miller card. Didn't realize he was a starting pitcher. I forgot that back in the day he was a starting pitcher. Yeah,
that happens. I don't remember if it's in this draft or not, but that happened with a Chris Sale, where it's like, oh, Chris Sale, and I grabbed him, and then he went into my bullpen.
Yeah, that happens. That will happen in my draft, where I pick him up. And then after that, I immediately picked him up for my Diamond Dynasty team.
Oh, yeah. So there, now I've got 2 lefties in my rotation, actually, as we were just kind of talking about earlier. That's kind of a different approach.
Yeah, and so I touched on it earlier. There's been a lot of discussion on like how to draft these teams. A lot of people have been saying with the bronzes, try to bury them in your bullpen if you can, or on your bench, so that you increase your odds of getting a player you're going to use more at a higher rating.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like that hasn't really worked out for me, but that's just anecdotal.
Yeah. Well, it's going to take some time to start to really notice those patterns and everything.
Yeah, I've spoken out loud about thinking about doing crazy batting lineups that I don't know how they're going to work.
Got to experiment at some point.
Like, I had the crazy idea, and I haven't used it yet, but I'm still kicking it around. Maybe batting the pitcher second, getting a really good contact guy on first, lead off, and then bunting him over.
Yeah.
Because if you can get that, if you can jump out and get that early lead, and to put the pressure on people.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a big thing.
There's that Chris Sale.
Yeah, this Chris Sale is a really great card.
I looked at the hits per 9 and the Ks per 9, 92 and 98. I mean,
he throws. I think I've seen him get up to 98, and his slider's pretty nasty.
And you'll also notice you brought it up a little earlier, but the inside edge rating. So there you have on Boxburger, negative on several categories. So you're going to be subtracting from what you see above. So that's something to consider. That may only be there for one day until they update the inside edge. But that's something to consider when you're choosing, especially if you have 2 guys you like. If one is going to be docked in his ratings, then you might want to choose the other.
And how do you feel about guys with crazy windups?
Well, if it's smooth, I'm okay with it. I struggle with the guys who are kind of jerky.
Even when you're hitting?
When I'm hitting, it doesn't really matter that much to me. You know what really matters to me when I'm pitching is if somebody waggles their bat right in the middle of my motion.
Oh my God, yes. I noticed that guys, yesterday. Yeah. I started having that problem.
There were a few of those guys. There was someone on the Marlins last year. There was someone on the Cubs this year that does that, and it just screws up my timing completely.
Yeah, I definitely had that because I felt like their waggle was in like the part where you have to be accurate.
Yes. It's after you hit like the top of the meter, and then you're trying to wait for it to come back down.
Yep. Yeah, so Ziegler throws sidearm, and apparently a lot of people have problems hitting that kind of stuff online.
Yeah. I mean, they always tend to. I mean, it's so different. It's just a different. The ball's coming from a different angle, and it's harder to read. I think, especially, it's harder to read up and down as opposed to inside and outside. Mm-hmm. Everybody has trouble with low pitches, but it's tough to read that.
Yeah, especially because it's not there's no downward plane because it's just coming straight at you, and it's hard to tell the speed on those two.
Yeah, so as you can see now, I'm filling out my bullpen with guys that I hope I never have to use.
Yeah.
And just down at the bullpen, and this is where in these 3-inning games, if you use your starter, if you get them out early, if you bring in your top relievers and for an inning here and there, and the game continues, boy, you better be ready to last some innings with those low-rated guys, though, because if those games go on 7, 8, 9 innings.
Yeah, when I'm going through those, I like to look for someone that's either got really high velocity or really high break rating.
So there you can see Asdrubal Cabrera had a huge boost to his ratings. Same with Curtis Granderson here, plus 16 to his contact ratings.
So I know you mentioned it before. So the number that's there in the rating bar. Mm-hmm. That's their base rating?
Yes, that's their base rating, and then the inside edge below it, you'd want to either add or subtract to that number. So if somebody has a 99 and they're minus 15 underneath it, then they're playing at an 84 level right now.
Gotcha.
So Cabrera is looking good to me here, and kind of a versatile player on the infield. So that's, as I'm filling out my bench now, I'm looking for versatility, I'm looking for contact, and I'm looking for speed. And this one... This is not a bench player, especially with those inside edge ratings right there.
Yeah, and I have found it's nice to have at least like one really solid pinch hitter, because you're definitely going to pinch hit at least once.
Oh,
so
yeah,
you definitely want to have someone there. And it is nice to sometimes I'll pick sometimes there'll be a situation where I'm going to pick a starter, a quote unquote starter in an early round, knowing that I'm hoping to replace him later on. Mm-hmm. So, like, if you had picked an earlier first baseman that wasn't that great, and you get lucky, you'd have Lucas Duda to just swap in there.
Yep, and I believe, I'd actually do Duda. It goes into my starting lineup.
Yeah, you could move Duda to first and then put starters on the outfield.
Yep, that's what ends up happening.
I had that in some random draft where I got a rookie Ryan Braun card, not realizing he was a third baseman. Mm-hmm. And then I ended up moving him to right, and whoever I drafted later was a first baseman that ended up going in.
Yeah. Now, this year they do penalize players for playing out of position. Now, a lot of these guys, they have their secondary positions. Maybe they're not going to be quite as good, but especially in the outfield, you're going to be able to manage with somebody who's just okay out there.
Right. Did they say, was it a 5% drop for the secondary positions or a 20% drop?
Not sure about that.
I think it might have been a 5% drop for a secondary position, and then after that, it was a 20% drop if it wasn't one of theirs. Yeah,
it's definitely, you don't want to put somebody completely outside of what they're familiar with.
Though, I got a rookie Anthony Rizzo card, who's only a first baseman, and I was like, let's get crazy. I put him in right field, and he made some nice plays. I was actually really surprised.
Yeah, so now I go around and I work on fixing my lineup here, fixing my rotation, just rearranging my bullpen, and then I come out with a pretty strong lineup. And what I'm going to show you now is the culmination of that lineup. So this is the first game with this team. So I take a leadoff walk. Here comes Duda, as we were saying before, in the two spot.
You could have bunted him over if you had your pitcher batting second.
I could have. Instead, I do this. 1-1 pitch over the wall.
It's also a good option.
Yeah. So this is a great way to start off a game. And watch this. Literally off the very top of the wall. Barely makes it.
Ooh, wow.
Right into the bullpen.
So
the inning does not end. We got McCann here. Comes through with a base hit.
Using your directional hitting?
Absolutely. We got another base hit.
So is that a hit and run?
I believe it might have been.
Yeah, the second baseman was going over to cover. Nice.
So first and third. And then we got Joe Panic coming through. 2 RBI double.
Nice.
So that's how you start a Battle Royale game, TJ. 4-0 in the first.
It's pretty good.
So what I did worked there.
That's tough to come back from there.
Yeah.
Being down 4-0.
Yeah, oh yeah, with only 3 innings to go. So now we're on to your draft, TJ.
This one was a tough one, especially right on the first pick. I wasn't going to go with CC Sabathia, obviously going with the bat. And when you have Reggie Stocker and Alex Rodriguez, the third guy doesn't really matter. I had used a different Alex Rodriguez in another draft. So the main reason I go with picking Reggie Stocker is just because I had used Alex Rodriguez and I wanted to see how Reggie Stocker was, which would be good because the first game I played with this team, he hit a walk-off single.
Oh, wow. There you go. Paying off.
Then I went with LaCroix because, again, how we mentioned with McCann, not a whole lot of great catchers. And LaCroix's got a lot of contact. There you just saw me go. Manny Machado, phenomenal. He's a diamond. Obviously, he's going to be great. You
got some awesome options there. Reggie Jackson, but Felix Hernandez, too, if you wanted to go with the top of the rotation guy.
Yeah, and Manny Machado I like because he has that shortstop as a secondary position.
Right.
So, and he has a strong arm.
Yeah.
Some guys have shortstop as a secondary position, but they don't have a strong arm, and I would not advise using them. So yeah, I was kind of hoping that there would be a third baseman down the line that I could get, and maybe a weaker shortstop that I would draft and then get a third baseman later to put in.
Yeah. So Stargell there, just like I picked.
Yeah, Stargell ended up being really good. I'm still playing this one, but the server's been acting up a little bit, so haven't been able to get a game.
Yeah, Pineda. So you're kind of going with a similar.
Yeah, going with those silver starters. Silver starter seems kind of to be like a good idea.
Yeah, fill out your whole just solid starters. Like I kind of agree there. So Franklin Gutierrez, you got to take Goody, right?
This was one of those ones. I had a tough debate between Lance Lynn and Emilio Bonifacio. Bonifacio's got speed, and he can play every position except I think every position is a secondary position for him except for first base and catcher.
Wow. Okay.
Pat Neshek, I'm gonna take here.
Everybody loves him
because everybody uses him online, so why not? Yeah. It's funny because so many people used him online last year that I got to the point where I absolutely destroyed him all the time.
You figured him out. Yeah. He got exposed.
Yep. Again, I like contact and speed. I figured Ben Revere was a good play there. He's got a ton of both. Here, I really didn't know what to do. I probably should have looked at Geyer's stats with his boost, but they probably wouldn't have been that great.
Yeah, just a couple points.
Yeah. Bobby Parnell was also another good choice. I could have gone with the Polanco and hopefully got a better third baseman or shortstop, but I ended up going with Peacock there. This was another tough one. Probably should have looked and seen Wilmer Flores' stats and probably picked him, but I did not. I went with Taylor Jordan.
Ooh, Jay Bruce, huh?
Yep.
An old school one.
Had one outfield spot left. Figured I'd give it to Jay Bruce.
You have already, I see your lineup coming out, a lefty-heavy lineup. I also had a lefty-heavy lineup.
I like lefties in this game.
I hit really well with lefties.
Corey Seager's a really good hitter for me, but I was like, let me take one ace and see how I can do with him. I have Corey Seager on my Diamond Dynasty team, and he's really good.
Oh yeah,
I think I'm hitting high 300s with him, and I've just started hitting home runs with him.
Yeah.
The Trevor May pick, he had 5 pitches. I want to say he had a 12-6 curveball and a slider, which is kind of my favorite combination right now.
Yeah. Again,
because that seems to get them
preferences.
thinking.
Some people's got their combos, that they like to go to.
This guy had high velocity, so I went with that guy. I think he throws like 97 something in the game, so that was good. Here I go with Trey Turner because he's a good defensive shortstop. He doesn't have the great contact or power numbers, but he's not going to be a defensive liability. He might be a liability with the bat, but I'd rather have the defense not be the problem.
That Chris Sale is going to be deadly on any lefties in a lineup.
Yeah, that Chris Sale is, if you're just playing Diamond Dynasty, he's like a poor man's Aroldis Chapman.
Oh.
He's going to throw 98. He's got a 6 slider, and I think he's also got a change and a 2-seam.
Pricey on the market? Is he an expensive one?
He's only, I think he's a couple thousand if you get the card, but you can also do if you get the 25, you can go out and get the 25 cheapest White Sox and do the collection for them. And I think it's like 2,000 coins.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't gotten into the collections and stuff yet. I've just kind of been finding my way so far.
I also got C.J. Wilson and Justin Wilson, 2 more lefties in the bullpen because I figured you couldn't have enough.
Yeah.
And then whatever reliever I just picked, I got because he had real high velocity on his radial thing. This one was a tough one. I really didn't know which way to go.
That Ryan Howard could be an interesting pinch hitter, I wonder. Yeah,
I looked at him, but his contact and power numbers just didn't really, they didn't really excite me. I went with Ryan Goings. I probably could have gone, or I went with Ryan Goings, and I could have went with Owings, whatever that guy's name was.
Well, it's another middle infielder. Gives you more flexibility there. Jason Worth could be a good one off the bench.
Yeah, I went with the Gardner, as you can see. Lots of speed, lots of contact. I actually ended up starting him over the Jay Bruce card in right field. I think Jay Bruce was a 78 or something.
Yeah.
I put him in the first game. I used first fly ball hit him, bounced off his head. He got a concussion, and Jay Bruce came in.
That's great.
Yeah, those guys were all the same. Hector Olivera at third base and second base, so I figured I'd take him just in case I needed another guy to cover second base.
That Conforto.
Yeah, that Conforto
up to 85.
That Conforto was probably the play, but I go with the Hernandez because he's got lots of contact versus lefties, and he can play pretty much every position without an issue.
Your final pick.
Final pick, always got to have a backup catcher.
You got to take Wellington Castillo, TJ.
I was thinking about taking Wellington Castillo. I'm salty because you got switch hitter.
You got to see. I've been tweeting about Wellington Castillo because in my Diamond Dynasty, he is batting over 400. He's slugging nearly 900 for me. He's got 9 home runs and 20 RBIs, and he is crushing it. So he's my guy.
And he was good last year too.
Yeah.
Well, you don't see it because I didn't make the highlight reel. In my first game, Machado hit a home run to tie it up, and then Stocker hit a walk-off. Here I'm just messing with my lineup, so you'll see me put Gardner in at left field.
Yeah. This is something you need to do, people, by the way, because the first time I played a game, I didn't realize how jacked up my lineups were. They don't.
In position order.
Yeah, it doesn't. It just fits them in based on catcher, first base, second base, third base. You have to go and manually fix it so you got your leadoff guy in 2, 3, 4 all the way down instead, or else you're going to have some jacked up lineups, which I did for my first game. So definitely fix that. Fix your rotation, although it may not matter since it's random. I guess it really doesn't. But
yeah, and then I feel like I've had the order that my rotation is on these screens isn't the same order that I see on the screen where you pick your pitcher, where you quote unquote pick your pitcher.
Yeah.
And then here I actually kind of do the left right to not fall into a problem where I have where a lefty pitcher can come in and face 3 batters.
Yeah. Definitely want to avoid that. Yeah. Well, TJ, thank you. That was fun. This mode is really, I think it's a pretty big hit with people who are into Diamond Dynasty, and just the draft mode. It gives you an opportunity to try all these different players that you may not get a chance to try in your normal Diamond Dynasty, and there's strategies. Every time you have to draft, you're going to get different players and you're going to be making different decisions. So thanks for coming on, TJ, That Sports Gamer, for discussing some of those strategies and the decisions behind making your picks. For Hit the Pass, I'm Bryan Wiedey. Till next time, take care.